All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming up to you out of Detroit, back with another video. Man, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett has become the face of the Democratic Party at this point. Jasmine Crockett is being used like they used Kamala, only it looks worse because it seems that the Democratic Party is heavily into the business of exploiting black women politically. They have them being the face of civil unrest, the face of sedition, and the face of treasonous behavior. Look at Letitia James in New York. Look at Fannie Willis down in Atlanta. Look at Ayanna Presley. Look at Jasmine Crockett. Look at AOC. It is something sinister about the way an entire party forces, I'm not even going to say force, or put the women in their party out front to say the most outlandish, treasonous things. See, they're using a manipulation because you can't say nothing to these women or you're going to be misogynist or racist. So they get to spew the anti-American, anti-government rhetoric. Okay, and everybody has freedom of speech. But it looks bad. Don't y'all think it looks bad for that party who is powerless? They lost the House, the Senate. They don't got the Supreme Court, the presidency. They don't even got the will of the people. But they keep pushing these women to the forefront and using them in a way that is undermining the country, the president's new administration, and the will of the people. You will look at the Democratic Party and you'll think there's nothing but black women over there. Why are they using them to this degree as if they learned nothing from their run with Kamala? Now, they talk about the 92% of black women that voted for Kamala Harris. I don't believe that number is accurate. Social media statistics and stats doesn't weigh that out. That's a mainstream media lie, fallacy, and misinformation. But we'll let them have that because this is a more serious issue to where when 10 black women was unalived in Buffalo, they never gave you a crime bill. Joe Biden didn't even pardon any of you when he left. They use you until they're done and they throw you away like Joy Reid. But they're using you as a tool not only against your people, but a tool now against America. Your stereotypical neck rolling and loud and belligerent and extra with weaves, and that's played out. And it just looks bad because now they got you in front of the world. The world. And they want to all of a sudden now, black people want to defend Zelensky, the real alleged Nazi, the real tyrant that won't even hold elections, the real person that's throwing his whole country under the bus. Why they used Ukraine to launder money. Without further ado, let's get into Jasmine Crockett in MSNBC, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for commentary, educational purposes. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
Are defending President Trump's actions. My next guest is apologizing to the world.
Now look, Jasmine Crockett is excuse my language, is about to apologize to the entire world. She's a sitting member of Congress. She's about to apologize to the entire world for President Trump and J.D. Vance's behavior towards Zelensky. It's disgraceful. Who is she to apologize for the duly elected president? This fake outrage, like they have power, is dangerous to you people. Y'all don't have control of the Army, Air Force, Marines, nothing. You just talking, but you talking traitorous now. Treasonous, sedition, siding with foreign nations. This is the same lady that said she was rooting for Mexican cartels against this country. And this lady is who they put in front of you as a representative of the Democratic Party. Democrats won't win for the next 20 to 30 years. They're finished. But what are they doing to the character of the people that supported them, their constituents? Look how she looks.
Republicans are defending President Trump's actions. My next guest is apologizing to the world. Jasmine Crockett is a Democratic congresswoman from Texas and sits on the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees. And I'm awfully glad to have you here because I read what you said, apologizing to the world. And I want to go deeper into it because you said, I'm sorry that the bright light America used to be is dimming. Why did that whole interaction seem to be so distant for you, for what the U.S. stands for? Besides the fact that we're talking about an ally, we're talking about Ukraine, a country that was invaded. First, it started off with trying to change the facts. We don't live in a world of alternative facts, trying to change the reality of who invaded who. After we kept saying that Trump was nothing but Putin's puppet, we kept saying that he was palling around with Putin. We've said it all kinds of ways. But this comes at the heels of the UN voting with Russia. This also then is an opportunity for Trump to show that, no, America knows who our friends are and we're going to stand with those friends. And unfortunately, he decided that he wanted to talk about his clothes. Now, maybe this is because Trump never wanted to go serve his country. And right now, the only service that he's giving to us is driving our country apart. But I'm sorry, when you...
Look how condescending she is toward a duly elected president, the won the electoral vote and the popular vote. Look how condescending she is. Look how people cheer her on as she becomes more and more disrespectful. She doesn't stand a chance of ever being a president. She's a low budget Kamala. You think Kamala got to be bad, but the way that the Democratic Party, the way that they use people like this, it's so stereotypical. She doesn't even realize that her as a congressperson, she should not be apologizing to the world for the president. Everything the Democrats do is to undermine this country and to make this country weak. They are intent on sabotaging the government and the citizens of the United States. Listen to her.
War, you're not worried about your outfit. That is what we call a privilege, number one. Number two, to say, oh, what can you afford? Well, if he was walking around in the fanciest suits, I'm sure that they would accuse him of taking our dollars and spending it on his wardrobe and being more concerned about that. Listen, this is a no-win situation when you're walking in with someone who has decided that he is going to align himself with a dictating thug. Okay, so to that end, we know before the exchange, what was supposed to happen was there was going to be the signing of this preliminary mineral deal, at least, right? Aiming to end the war, but without Trump committing to any security guarantees. I mean, you say that peace should not have a price tag, but there are some Republicans, as you know, and the president claiming that, oh, you know what, America is being taken advantage of here. Is there a middle ground we can get to? There's not a middle ground with this president. He has no intentions of doing right by, number one, the United States. I appreciate what the former governor was saying. We are in a national security crisis. We have been in a national security crisis ever since, honestly, before he even ran. We know that he had our national secrets stored at Mar-a-Lago. People felt like that wasn't really a big deal. They wanted to compare it to what was going on with Joe Biden. We know that he was showing this to people that maybe weren't supposed to see our national security secrets. We know that he is consistently engaged in questionable deals as it relates to our emoluments clause when he was in the first go round. Next thing you know, his son-in-law was getting a lot of money from the Saudis as soon as they walked out. And so right now, and not to mention, he has decided that his DOJ will not prosecute cases that engage in any type of foreign nefariousness when it comes to getting money. So unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United.
Where did they find her? For her to be out front like this, she's about to say that the president of the United States is an enemy to the United States. So, is she talking revolution, anarchy, overthrow? What is she saying?
States. He swore an oath just like the rest of us. But right now, when you are literally putting us at risk, all because of what? Because you want to convince your followers that you should be a dictator too, that you should never leave the White House because you don't believe that elections should take place. I don't really understand what is going on, and I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up. We are not living in a safe country when we decide that we are going to weaken our national security by getting rid of those that are watching our nuclear stockpile, by giving everything over to a private friend known as Elon Musk. We are getting rid of all of the inspector generals. And so there's literally a lack of checks and balances all around us. And then we have somebody who's sending his vice president out to offend our allies in Europe. Listen, the way that I used to explain this on the trail when I was campaigning for Madam Vice President is I would say, listen, it's kind of like the schoolyard. When you go to school and everybody knows that your siblings are at the same school, or they know that your cousins are at the same school, then they may not pick a fight with you because they know that if they pick a fight with you, they got to pick a fight with your whole family. But when you're like me, an only child, they may decide to pick a fight with you because they're like, there's nobody that is going to back her up when we get to the playground. Right now, he's trying to put us into a situation to where we will be the only ones on the playground when you're going out talking about you're going to go into Canada, when you're going out and you're talking about Mexico. Listen, Zelensky is right. He doesn't have the privilege that we have. We've got water on each side, and we used to have friends on the north and south. He doesn't have that privilege. And so I really want America to wake up because it should not be partisan. Be the selfish people that we love to be in America. Yeah. Worry about your safety. You mentioned Elon Musk, which brings me to those federal employees that are receiving that. These are emails again this weekend demanding, asking.
Look how mainstream media uses her to spew all this rhetoric and fear-mongering for Zelensky. She's, as I said before, already said she's rooting for the cartel, voting against no taxes on tips. What are they using her for? She's not going to get no votes. And her basic constituents, if they can't recognize that she's uncouth and unpolished and powerless, just a mouth, if they can't see that, they're the ones in a cult and followers. Because clearly, this lady has no idea of what she's even being used for. She's such a puppet. She's such a puppet. She's talking as if there's some type of faction or group that they have hidden that's going to challenge the United States government and remove Trump and JD and everybody else in that administration over her, over Black Girl Magic. The Democratic Party is desperate.
Ever that they sum up what they did last week, and you're a member of the House DOJ subcommittee. Are you looking into the legality of this? I mean, should federal employees even respond? Have some been fired as they've been threatened to be fired if they don't respond? Do you know?
We get no answers.
No answers.
DOJ is just something for Marjorie Taylor Greene to sit atop and make it seem like she's important. We ain't doing nothing. I mean, it's much like much of what we see in Congress, right? Because we've yet to have anyone that works for DOJ. I don't even have a list of who works for DOJ. We have nothing from them whatsoever. We have no findings from them where they're issuing reports to us and they're saying, hey, these are the things that we really need to root out as you are going through the budget process. We have none of that. We have no information about who exactly is sending these emails because we know that they told the courts, oh, Elon isn't running DOJ. Then they told us that a woman that was on vacation in Mexico was running DOJ. Like, you talk about transparency, there is literally a lack of transparency. And when we decided that we wanted to subpoena him to come in, him being Elon, you know who didn't even want to debate it? The Republicans. Not only did they shut it down, but they wouldn't allow us to engage in debate because they really don't have an explanation for why we would have an entire subcommittee that is supposed to sit atop this organization or whatever it is, because it's not really an organization, and they don't want to bring in the guy that is the face of it.
Can I ask you, is it also a little bit because they're afraid to go up against Elon Musk and Donald Trump?
Well, I don't know if they're...
Look how the lady leading. Is it because they're afraid to go up against them? Look how she's being led. Look how she's leading the conversation, the interviewer. This is not even political theater. This is straight up propaganda. No basis. You need to ask yourself, who is Jasmine Crockett? Why are they using her in this method at this time? After the country rejected the cause playing chameleon, they come with Sister Girl here. And she's more she's right up under Joy Reid with the disrespect. And they fired Joy Reid and got rid of her. She won't be around probably next year either. They probably will vote her in 2026, she'll lose. But why are they using her in this method? They pick a stereotype. That's why they brought Megan Thee Stallion out there twerking at their convention. This is why they gave Beyonce $10 million. They will never learn. That party is finished and it needs to be.
Afraid. I just think they're wusses. I mean, I don't really know what it is, but right now, one of the things that the former governor just said, he talked about people basically giving up their rights and giving up their duties. I've said that they've castrated their constitutional duties. You've got Republicans that will only move, or as we used to say, jump whenever Donald Trump says jump or Elon says jump, and it's usually how high, right? Like, that's what they're doing. They are not listening to their constituents. And I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you that has shown up to those town halls across this country, because that's what it looks like to be engaged in a real democracy. It looks like showing up and making sure those that have been elected because of your votes start to listen to you.
I'll let that be the last word. I love it that you're thanking the American people for doing what they are privileged, have the privilege to do. Absolutely. Jasmine Crockett, privileged to have you here in studio too. I mean,
she felt it was her duty to apologize to the whole world in behalf of the president and the rest of the country. And she comes out in support of Zelensky. This is bad. This is bad. If you can't see how bad and down bad the Democratic Party is based on the people they use and have out front, then you slow. You slow if you can't see that they're putting people out for one reason only: propaganda and to create racial division. She's there for racial division, nothing else. Nothing else. Racial division. That's the only. Clearly, she's not the most analytical person. She's not the most. She shows very little wisdom. She's there for racial division. And that's all I have. Think about it. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the channel. As always, salute to all patriots. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.